Hi guys, it's Shawnee Daigle. I am a broker associate of the Champions Realty team powered by EXP. And I'm so happy this morning to have Nick Good. He is the team leader of the Good Home team out of Dallas, Texas. Nick has been in the industry since 2005 with his brother, Austin Good, in 2009, and they took the Dallas Fort Worth market by storm. Thank you for coming, Nick. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome, awesome. So, just want to talk with you a little bit, first of all, about your real estate journey. How did you get into it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's what I did was not a traditional one. I was in college delivering pizzas, and I always joke around that was the best job I ever had. Right? I was thoughtless. It was easy, and as gas prices were going up at the time, I started realizing that more than likely it's not a good career. Probably not going to find a wife delivering pizzas, and
Right.
I don't think I'm a good prospect at that time. So my college job board, there was a job opening to be a real estate assistant. And
Okay.
my brother and I had always wanted to get into real estate investing. So that was the ultimate goal. And we had read the books Rich Dad Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, and a lot of other real estate investment books. And so, what better way to learn real estate investing is to get into the real estate business and get paid for it. So I applied for to be a real estate assistant, got the job. It was a husband and wife independent brokerage. They were the number one broker husband and wife team in that city.
Okay.
And so I got to learn the inner workings of how they were running their business, and a lot of it was revolved around Sphere and postcard direct mail marketing.
Okay.
So got to learn that, and before it was coined any definition or term, they had told me that I should get licensed, and they said that they needed help with showing clients. They had a lot of out of town clients coming in. This was 2005, 2006 timeframe where here in the Dallas Fort Worth market, right before the market crash, we had a lot of speculative investors coming in and buying up a lot of new construction. And so they just had a ton of out-of-state investors coming in. So got licensed. I started showing their clients around and started to kind of learn the ropes on that one, doing some open houses. And it was going well, right? I loved it.
Right.
Wasn't making a ton of money, but it was just enough to survive. It was just enough to really, really get a good education and learn from it. And in 2007, I had just bought a house. I was getting married, and I graduated college kind of all within about a 90-day period. Mm-hmm. And as I was graduating, they offered me a full-time salaried position, somewhere probably, I think, in the mid-30s, if I remember now, with override off of their commissions.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I truly appreciate it. But I said, let me ask you, if I were to go 100%, if I were just to be 100% commission full-time broker, real estate agent with you guys, could I make $100,000? They're like, yeah. It's like, okay, that's what I want to do.
Right.
So this was July of 2007, and so I turned down that full-time, consistent, safe salary with override move, and went 100% commission, got married, bought a house, and I did not make $100,000. Right. I sold 3 houses in 2007, and it was, I was still young. I still was running off of that youth energy as well as that hopium energy. And, what I quickly realized is that what was working for them wasn't working for me.
Okay.
Right. I was 24 years old, and my sphere wasn't buying from me. They were either broke or still in college, and my friends weren't. My friends' parents weren't buying or using me because I was their broke kid's friend.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, what do I need to do? They didn't have the training set up there, for that and training new agents on how to lead generate or prospect, because that's just not what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of 2007, I decided to go searching for a different opportunity, a different brokerage with better training. And somebody that I went to real estate school with and that I knew kind of in my circle had joined Keller Williams, and she was having success. She's like, you need to come over here. The training's great. So December of 2007, I joined Keller Williams and started to get into their training programs to see what it was all about. And of course, we talk about, the old saying, leads, listings, leverage. And it was really about being, lead generation minded and prospecting based.
Right.
So in 2008, I started to learn how to lead generate properly. I was still not cold calling or anything like that. I was using Craigslist and posting ads online, and the internet wasn't what it was, like today. It is today, right? You could still post on Craigslist. You could go buy Google traffic for really, really cheap. And so I learned how to talk to strangers at 25 years old. I learned how to talk to strangers to learn what their motivation was, what their time frame was, how to handle objections, slowly but surely, and started having some success. I found my way. I don't know how I did it, but I found my way into selling homes in an active adult community around our area. So that active adult community is retirement community, basically 55 plus of age has to live there, and started selling a decent amount of homes in and around that area. And the cool thing that happened is I had 8 homes under contract in 1 month.
Awesome.
Right. And I'm walking around and I'll tell you, I could go back and I probably even imitate. I had this kind of pep, this swagger, and I was counting how much money I was going to make. And then all of a sudden the financial collapse happened.
Oh yeah.
And all 8 of those contracts fell out.
Wow.
And they did not come back to life.
Yeah.
And, I'm like any 25-year-old. I was living well above my means. I didn't have any savings really. And so at that time, I started questioning, all you're hearing on the news is how bad this is going to be, how this recession is, the sky's falling. And you're hearing people that, had investments and had all this money, or are on the verge of foreclosure and they can't pay their bills. And so your mind starts to kind of creep into that direction. Like, do I really have what it takes to be in this industry? Yeah. And so I did what any normal person would do. Started looking for jobs. Right. And so I started instead of spending my time, on my real estate, I started looking for jobs, started going on interviews and went on several of them. And of course, the job market was very weak because people were afraid of what was coming. And so not getting a lot of callbacks. And then finally I went on a job interview at an asset management firm that was handling all these disposing of all the foreclosures that were starting to pile up. So I go to this job interview and do really well. They call me back for a second. And then on that second interview, they offered me a position. And they said, Nick, it's going to be $65,000 a year salary. We need you working Monday through Saturday. And we've got a bonus structure. So if you start clearing out, if you start disposing enough, a certain amount of the quota, you'll start earning bonuses and could potentially hit that close to $100,000 mark. I said, cool. So when I started running the numbers on it, I really needed to work on Sunday, so 7 days a week, and still somehow squeeze an extra day in there. So try to squeeze 8 days a week in. And so I said, I truly appreciate it. Let me go talk to my wife. Let me think it over. I'll get back to you tomorrow. And on my way home, this light bulb moment went off. And I don't know, sometimes I question my intelligence. I don't know if it was just being brilliant or just maybe I'm just hard-headed and stubborn and have an ego. And I was like, all right, if I were to work 6 days a week, the hours they're requiring me to work, and that was it. If I were to put that into my real estate business, truly put that in that same amount, that full-time effort, because let's be real, most people, myself included, was expecting full-time income on part-time effort.
Part-time effort, right.
Right. And I was like, if I do that, I'll definitely make more than at least 65 or more. So I turned it down. And that's when I went into working 5, 6, 7 days a week from that mid 2008 and on. And I really started studying what truly prospecting based methods are. And I call that recession proofing our business.
Right.
And prospecting based means we're proactive, right? I was out there calling expires because Lord knows there was a lot of them at the time.
Yeah.
So I started learning and cutting my teeth on calling expireds and talking to strangers over the phone. And again, overcoming the obstacles and objections that were being thrown at me. And guess what? I started having success. And I started following a lead generation, lead generation system where from 8 to 12 in the morning, I was calling, expireds, and I was calling new incoming leads. And then I was doing my follow-ups, and then I was running my appointments in the afternoon. And just so has it, by following that schedule from 2009 through today, I've made no less than 6 figures. Right. And it all comes down to that one thought process in 2008, where I had this job offer, that fork in the road moment, where I could have gone and said, all right, this is the easy, the consistent, the safe route.
Right.
Or I can put all my energy and time into my business the way that this company wanted me to. And if I believe that I can get to, and I truly am focused on my dollar producing activities, there'd be no reason why I can't make at least 65,000 or more. And that was the benchmark.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you and your brother teamed up.
Correct. Yeah. So in 2009, my brother and I partnered up, and he was doing cold calls at an oil and gas company. So he's cold calling, high net worth individuals and asking them to send him a check for 100,000 or more to go drill oil wells. Right. And it was highly speculative. If they hit, great. If they didn't, that person's out a lot of money. And so, excuse me. And so I told him, I was like, Austin, I said, if we bring that style model, just the cold call method, the calling, the proactive, no one was doing it at a large scale from a call center style operation. I said, if we bring that into the real estate industry, like this would be game changer. And so we partnered up in 2009 and started putting that together. Now, what we realized is that we are both very type A, strong-headed go-getters. What we realized is that you can't have two chiefs. And so we would go run appointments together. He was the worst real estate agent you ever met. He would walk into your house, and if you wanted at the time, everyone wanted more money for their house than what it was worth, and he would get kicked out of people's houses because he told them what they wanted to hear, and kind of did it a little bit rude, maybe a little bit aggressively. And so what we realized is that he was better in that investment side. So in 2010. We had flipped, we bought in our first investment property. It was a short sale, and we flipped it for about 35,000 profit. And he really found that was to his liking. So our other company, A&G Real Estate, was formed, and that's our investment division that was flipping, wholesaling, buying rentals, and then turned into a development company that builds community for rent communities. So we have duplex and townhouse developments.
Awesome. Okay. So now with you all's team, you were under what brokerage?
So at that time we were with Keller Williams. We were with Keller Williams from 2007 up until 2019 when we made a decision to part ways.
So what became, I guess, your biggest challenge with being a team lead, running a team?
I mean, there's so many challenges, right? So the number one challenge that I've seen, and that I made this mistake in the very beginning, is that most team owners run a very top-down, greedy model where it only benefits the team owner or the team lead, right? Meaning, like, the team leader is going to get only the best leads, right? And then they're throwing the scraps out to their team members, and hopefully they survive, right, to their agents. And usually there's not a lot of great training. There's not a lot of great support. There's not a lot of great accountability. It's just a free for all. And look, I ran that model. I ran, from 2000, when we started building the Good Home team and started bringing on team members in 2009 and 10. We started quickly growing and bringing on buyer's agents. And unfortunately, like, I ran what I call a very selfish, greedy model where I didn't even learn those agents' names, right? We would put them in what I call the redheaded stepchild prospecting room. There was no training. no, we would just say, here's all the leads, just call them. And then when they were to quit, we say, well, obviously you give up way too easily, right? You don't have the grit, you don't have the perseverance. And so, and that was, my fault. Elizabeth's looking at, one of my team members looking at me right now. That was my fault on that. And,
Right.
what really changes is as you start partnering with talented people. So what really changed is there wasn't an epiphany light bulb moment that changed me, right? We partnered with, I'll tell you the change that happened. She's here who looked at me, Elizabeth Austin. We partnered with her, and she took our leads. She started pushing us. She started actually having success with us with our leads, but it wasn't because of anything that we were doing at that time. It was all because of her. She would just sit us down, ask us questions, absorb it, start implementing it. And then we're like, all right, we want to stay partners with her. And so ultimately we partnered, we started putting more and more opportunities together. We started allowing our agents to represent sellers and buyers, because we ran a traditional real estate team where, our buyers agents only represented buyers. I would represent the sellers. If they had a seller, they couldn't represent them, et cetera. And so we just started to evolve, adapt, and improve our structure, our system, and make it better for our agents to put them in the best position to win.
Okay. All right. And was there any point that you kind of started feeling stuck, or like you couldn't grow to the next level?
So in 2015, right before, we appointed, we made the decision to have Elizabeth Austin lead our team. It was stuck where we were doing, I think, around 40 million in volume, 37, 35, 40 million in volume. And, where we started hitting that ceiling was that, the listing side lived, breathed, and died on me.
Right.
And, there's only 24 hours a day, and I'm not working all 24 of them, and I'm only one person. I can't be in multiple places at one time. Right. And so, as my eye-opening moment within that, as we evolved, is saying, all right, let's open this up to allowing all of our agents to take listings. Okay. Right. If we have more agents out there meeting with sellers, putting more signs in the yard, we're going to spread our brand, our message, and we're going to help more people. And the whole reason why we didn't do that in the beginning was that we were advised and coached by some of what we thought the best were in the industry. We were like, no, you don't give up that coveted listing spot, because that will affect your profitability. That's the last thing you give up. And that was just, again, that was an old traditional mindset that we had to break that mold. And as we did, our business grew, and then ultimately getting out of our own way. And so, in each path, at each journey that we're on within our business, as well as it goes, we're always going to hit the next ceiling. Yeah. And normally we have to analyze what that is. Like right now, we're at a ceiling of consistently hitting a $60 million mark that we have to break through that barrier. Right. And, ultimately that's going to involve, bringing in more talented team members, giving more opportunity, building out a much higher, more firepower call center to help our agents, get more at bats so they can get belly to belly, face to face. Especially in this ever so changing marketplace where less people like to answer the phone or respond to text messages.
Absolutely. Because they're kind of overwhelmed with, you're constantly getting bombarded with calls and texts and someone trying to sell you something. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of agents when they get into this business. There's so many things out there, and they kind of don't know where to start or what will work. What would be your advice to new agents?
So we all go through that, no matter where we are, whether you're brand new, whether you're experienced in this, and veteran, where you're afraid to, or you're overwhelmed to even add more to your plate. So the first thing is just take the first step. Yeah. Right. Just take the first step down the path you think you want to go down, and slowly start to implement. Right. You don't have to do all of it. The thing that we see with brand new agents is the problem with it and the mindset is they think they have to have everything perfect before they go and start, talking to clients or potential clients or meeting with buyers and sellers. And that's not the case. it's it's always going to feel, when you're in it, it's always going to feel messy and sloppy,
Mhm.
right? Even the most, what we think the most buttoned up, polished real estate business and teams out there, and when if you go talk to them and they really opened up, those agents and those leaders are going to feel that they're in the midst of sloppiness and messiness.
Right.
And if they tell you otherwise, unfortunately, they're lying to you,
Right.
right? And so the number one thing is take the first step of slowly implementing action that you're going to stay consistent to. So if you're
Right.
brand new, that's going to find your lead generation activity that you're going to do every single day that you're not going to talk yourself out of. That may be, for me at 24 years old, it wasn't calling my friends or my
Right.
friends' family members. That was just not, at that time, not going to work for me. And so mine was going down and learning how to call expireds. I wasn't natural. I didn't want a cold call.
Right.
Like if you would have talked to me back then and I was like, no, I'm not cold calling. I don't want to role play. I don't want to learn scripts. I thought that was all hogwash.
Right.
Right. And so what it is you got to go find what you're going to stay consistent, true to every single day, and go and find motivated sellers and buyers. If you have a great sphere, that's awesome. If you don't have a great sphere and you're not really going to cold call, then go and become the best social media person out there and connect with business owners, highlight them, do videos that you promote for them so that you start getting your brand and messaging out there. Just be prepared that whichever path that you go down, there are certain paths that may take longer to start seeing a return on that investment, and don't give up.
Right. Right. And I think two of the biggest things is fear. A lot of people are they're afraid. They're afraid to get started. So I think that's awesome that you said just take the first step. You have to start somewhere. And then the other thing is consistency. I think that's the other big thing. As soon as they think, oh, this isn't working fast enough, then they jump to something else. Yeah. So staying
Yes.
consistent,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So I call that it's like, if you've ever gone fishing with somebody and you're on one side of the pond and the other person on the other, and you see you're not catching anything right now, but you see that other person just pulling fish out left and right. What usually ends up happening is that person wants to run over to that side of the pond because they think that all the fish are over there, and they've given up on that fishing hole that they were just at. And they were probably, they could have been so close to having that, hitting that right school of fish, or the big one, the whale, whatever that may be.
Right.
And then we see too many agents just jumping around. And what that start-stop method is actually, that actually hurts them more than it benefits them.
Absolutely. So I know you said you were with Keller Williams before. What made you want to change over to EXP?
Yeah, so we changed EXP in 2019. And I'm going to tell you, there wasn't anything that I was really I wasn't unhappy. I love Keller Williams, right? And when we were looking at it, I had people approach me several times and I said, no, I said, it's not going to happen. I loved it and my business was going great. What was on the search for, though, is, unfortunately and this is not just a Keller Williams thing, so this is not bashing Keller Williams, is that at most traditional places, the opportunity is only set up for one person, and that's usually the owner, who gets all the glory, who gets all the recognition, who gets all the opportunity. And that typically, that team lead, that team owner, that mega agent, they didn't get there because of just what they were doing, right? It was the help of their team, their agents around them. Correct. And they don't give credit or recognition. And so again, as the eye-opening experience that we started talking about, is I looked at the opportunity, by the way, in December of 2018. I came to EXP for 3 days and left because I was promised some things to come back and stay at Keller Williams. And fortunately and unfortunately, those didn't happen, right? I learned that I learned unfortunately, business is not always about just doing the right thing. And so we officially came back over July of 2019, and it was mainly for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was a better opportunity, not just for me, but for my agents. Right. My agents could earn stock. They weren't getting that at Keller Williams or any other brokerage. My agents had an opportunity, if they wanted to recruit, they could earn rev share. Then at the same time, we had started expanding. What really got us looking at it, we had started expanding. So we had at Keller Williams, we had opened an office a branch in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And when we were in Houston, we were at another Keller Williams office that our agents down there had to pay a full $21,000 cap.
Wow.
While my agents in Dallas were not on that. They were on a quarter cap.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, what ended up happening is that those agents were having, we got those agents down, in Houston, they were having success, but they could have joined another team in their office there and had a lower cap than what they were offering to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to question the expansion model, right? Keller Williams really, really branched and really, really put on the marketplace about expanding your team.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the number one reason I looked at it in the beginning was because at EXP, we could be anywhere and have one cap of $16,000. So I could go open up the Good Home Team in Denver, Colorado, and my agents there can be on a team cap. Or if I get licensed in Colorado and I'm here in Texas as well, I have a $16,000 cap one time. So my $16,000 cap covers all the United States. So once I'm capped here in Texas, I'm capped everywhere in the United States, as long as I'm licensed there. And so there's a lot of opportunity for independent brokers, for team owners, and then for the individual agent who comes over here and gets to have what we call the collaboration over competition. Individual agents who get to pick the brains of like yourself. We've got Delisa. We've got Trisha Turner that's down there in Houston. We've got Jay Kinder, Michael Reese, Albie Stasic.
Yep.
And we get to pick their brains of how they're building their businesses for free. There's no catches. They're not trying to sell us coaching. And so then we get to go implement it in our business. And guess what? Actually, you could be sitting like I have a couple $100,000 in EXP stock that I wouldn't have had if I wasn't here.
Right. I think that's one of the biggest things for me, wanting to be able to offer my agents more, being able to truly expand, not just, the area that we were in, but all over the United States, all outside of the country as well. And for my agents to be able to not just depend on me, but now they have a team of people supporting them. And also you have the knowledge of some of the top agents in the nation, so that was really, really big for us. What were some of the misconceptions? Because I know a lot of people have heard of EXP now, and people have certain misconceptions about it. What were some of the ones you may have had?
Yeah, the first one was when we came over here was the lack of support from the broker, right?
Okay.
That because we're virtual, that we weren't going to get the brokerage support that we were used to with a brick and mortar. And I kind of believed that at first. And then as we came over here, I actually realized that was a total myth. I've had better, faster brokerage level support style questions answered here than I was when I was at Keller Williams. I was always one of their top 3 agents within that office place. There'd be times that I would need a broker level style question or legal style question. It would take 24 to 48 hours to get a response from them.
Right.
Here, it doesn't work that way. Typically, the longest I've waited is 30 minutes to get a response.
Yeah.
So that was the number one and the most surprising of it, because EXP at the time, I mean, there's always growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came over, there's like right around 15,000 agents, I believe. And their onboarding wasn't the greatest at that time, and they've always consistently improved it. Number 2 was that it's not sustainable, right? They will never be profitable because they weren't profitable. They weren't just yet profitable. And that Keller Williams had tried the revenue share model that EXP's done, and that it didn't work for them. So obviously it's not going to work here, and it's not sustainable, not profitable. Which I think that now we've proven that myth of they've had consistent profit numbers. We are seeing more and more people come in and align their businesses here. And we're seeing more and more people starting to build real wealth. That's not just in real estate, right? We're allowing ourselves to to bring our own seat at the table, right?
Yeah.
Where at most other franchises or big box brokerages, those you weren't getting in there. It was the old guard, right? So
Absolutely.
People like you and me didn't have a chance to go there because we weren't there in the beginning.
Right.
So that's the reason why you probably started an independent broker as well, right?
Yes.
Because you're like, I'm
Yes.
going to create my own seat over here because nothing else is going to be, I don't have that opportunity there.
That's right. And I think the other thing that was surprising for me is you're actually encouraged to be creative. So whether you want to write books, whether you want to be a speaker, whether you want to be an educator in real estate to other agents, a mentor, whether you want to do building development, whatever it is, the creativity that's encouraged, and you're actually able to pull that knowledge from other people, and they're willing to help you for free is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what it is it's letting us get off that transactional hamster wheel, right?
Right.
Where at other brokerages, you're only as good to them as the number of houses you're selling. And
That's right.
here, look, we have to sell houses, yes, but you attract agents over. Great, you're
Right.
helping the brokerage grow, and guess what? You get rewarded. I mean, I have six figures coming in now. I've been here; it'll be 3 years. July, there'll be three. My 3 year anniversary will be July of this year,
Mhm.
and I have six figures coming in because of revenue share. That's deposited in my bank account every single month.
Right.
So that's six figures that I wasn't getting at any other brokerage.
Mhm.
That's six figures that if I decide to sell less houses, that now I have, 10 to 15 plus and growing every single month coming into my bank account that if I were to want to move to Costa Rica or whatever, I could be there and have that money coming in and be able to still help other agents without
That's it.
worrying about just selling houses. And so
Right.
it's allowed us to expand our mind and our model, because guess what? Most franchise owners, most people that are at corporate level, they're not selling houses,
No.
right? Because that's the number one thing they always say is like, you're going to be so focused on recruiting that you're not selling houses. Well, that's what all leadership is in any other brokerage. I don't see
Mhm.
them selling houses. What do they focus on? They're focused on helping their agents to sell those houses, and their goal is to go recruit and attract others to that office or that brokerage.
Right.
So it allows us to have that leadership level if we
Mhm.
choose and if we so choose to go down that path.
Right. So that's an extra six figures that you wouldn't have had before if you were in the model previously with your previous brokerage. That's awesome.
Real
Um,
cash.
how many agents do you have on your team right now?
So on my team, on the Good Home team, I have 12 and growing, and then within my organization, I have a little over 400 in my downline organization.
Awesome. And the good thing is you don't have to be a broker to be able to do that. It's
No.
like allowing agents the opportunity to be able to recruit like a broker, but not having to have a broker's license.
And I don't have to worry about the I only get to partake on the upside, which is the profit, not the
Right.
downside. Because
Right.
how many times were your agents at your brokerage making money, but that month you actually lost money, and you still have to go celebrate that success, right? But
Correct.
deep down in your gut, you're having that thought process like, is this worth it? Is it worth
Yeah.
having my own brand, my own name, my own brokerage? While my agents here are making money, that's great. I love that. But you're personally losing money every single month. You can't.
Right,
That's so
because you
stressful.
have the expense. You have the
Yeah.
expense of everything. When you're running an independent brokerage, it's like
Yep.
all of it's your baby, including I call it herding ants, trying to take care of
Yes.
all of the agents, all the clients. It's a lot. It
Yep.
definitely is.
100%. So you get to partake in only the upside, right? And you get to help agents, which is even better, right? You're not having to hoard information and only give them just enough. You get to come and share everything that's working with them.
Absolutely. So, I was going to ask you, have you had any what we call buyer's remorse since switching over?
No, and no, and people have asked that, and I always Jay Kinder asked me that on my 6 month and 12 month anniversary, and I wish I could say that there was something negative, so that so people could feel that I'm just not only looking at the good.
Putting the
I mean,
positive, yeah.
yeah, no, there's been zero buyer remorse. The only thing I look at is I wish that my gates were open earlier, and would be here sooner, because I would have loved to have gotten that stock when it was $2 to $3.
Yeah. Wouldn't that have been nice?
Yes. Yes.
Me too. That's what I tell people. It took me 2 years to come over.
Yes.
And now I could kick myself.
Yeah. My buyer's remorse is I didn't take it sooner. And I know that sounds cliche, and I know that that's not the answer people are looking for or hoping for, but it's true. And I'm still telling people today, the opportunity, we're at 76,000 agents. They were going to be at 100,000, and the goal in the next 5 years to be at 500. The boat has not left. The best time to plant a tree was 25 years ago. The second best time is today. So you just need to come.
Okay. Well, I don't want to hold you all day because I know you have a super busy schedule, and I'm so grateful to you for joining and taking the time out to talk with us. Is there anything you would like to leave someone who may be interested in making a change? Any coaching, anything that you would like to offer?
If they have any questions for me, then go to nickgood.work. But I will say, this is not about me. This is about you. You made the switch. You brought your independent broker over. You were able to see past an ego. You were able to get over a concern, and you put your faith into this. You made the jump. I would say partner with you and us at our Honey Badger Nation, because this is one big fire. Right? This is not about me. It's not about you. This is about one big fire coming together. It's all about collaboration over competition. So, if there's anything that anybody gets out of this, is connect with you, because you're the one, you're a go-getter. You're doing these videos and sharing the message out there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Nick. And we'll talk soon. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Honey Badger Nation,
where real estate agents from around the globe come together
to grow, collaborate,
and expand their business.
Where we take our individual fires and put them together and make one big fire.
This is the Honey Badger Nation.